Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Man's Model Moments Midweek Model Meet. Apologies, I had muted my microphone at the front there, so user error, apologies. But thank you for letting me know. I do actually now have the comments in OBS, so it's much easier to work with, so that's good. So I am working with OBS. I'm still getting used to it. It does take a little bit of getting used to, but we're pretty much getting there. So good evening, everybody. Good to see you all. Now let's have a little look at who's in. We've got David Markey. We've got Simon's Modelling Shed. We've got David of the Valleys. Got lots of Davids. We've got Paul. We've got World War II scale models Dave. We've got Julian Hall. We have Adrian. Good to see you. We've got Drew. We've got Stuart. And scrolling too far. We've got John Alec. Good to see you. David Markey. Lots of Davids. Lots and lots. Scrolling down, just making sure we've got everybody. I'm sure I can make, here we go. Let's make the size of some of these things a little bit bigger so I can actually see these a bit better. Let's see, we've got Simon's Modelling Shed, we've got Scale Model Apprentice, we have, who else have we got? Just people saying good evening to each other, which is always welcome. We've got Jonix, and scrolling down, we've got John Christmas, got Travis. Good to see you both. If I miss anybody, do accept my apologies. Just say hello separately, and I'll pick it up if I've not already mentioned you. And did I just spot? Marcus, hi Marcus, good to see you, and Black Skunk works as well, and that gets us up to the present. Fantastic. So today, slightly prepared. I've actually been, in fact, if I move the camera slightly, you'll be able to see it. I have been adjusting things. Let's see if you can. This here. Oh, you can't actually see it. It's not quite in shot. I've arranged it very cleverly, if I do say so myself. I now have a 2.6 meter extruded aluminium 2020 channel going all the way across the conservatory here, and a 1.5 meter one joining it to give it some structural stability. And then I've got another arm coming down, and then that has the webcam on. So I'm all prepared for a build tonight. I have the Type 45 also. Ooh, shouldn't be doing that. So we have the Type 45. Let's put that on the bench. And I have the camera all set up. So unusually prepared, one might say. I see Craig's just come in. Good to see you, Craig. So I've also got vision things, which is good. Get my phone out of the way, we don't want that. I also had to change my mouse and keyboard because the one I had was dry. The optical mouse was just garbage. Don't know why, just one of those things. I've also got new t-shirts. So I've been buying t-shirts from Into the AM. Into the AM do a lot of sponsorship for Zip videos. And I needed a whole bunch of new t-shirts, so I thought I might as well take advantage of these offers, and maybe in the future they'll sponsor me. So I've got this one at the moment, which apparently is glow in the dark. There isn't a non-glow in the dark version, but I don't know that having a glow in the dark one makes any difference. But they do some nice graphic t-shirts, so. They do some pretty bright ones as well, which I'm not so much into. But anyway, let me do the smooth transition to the screen. There we go. And here we have our Type 45. So it's almost like this is actually prepared and planned now. So Type 45, so you've got the camera up there. Now you can see I'm wobbling the thing a bit, and it is moving it a little bit, but that's mainly because the cable is attaching it. This is actually now completely independent. Also, I've got the macro lens, so if I shove that on, and then what have we got that we can show in close up? Here's a laser cut window on something I did. There we go. So we've got nice close up of things you can see. Different depths of engraving on this. I had the power setting too high for the cutting, so it's a little bit scorched, but that's all set up now, so I'm quite pleased with that as well. But tonight is, of course, Type 45, so let's get cracking. I know several of you have been working on the Type 45, and some people are a lot further ahead. I think they started after me, but obviously I'm only doing this once a month, so they are much more committed, whereas I probably should be committed. and so I am not as far as advanced. So this is present status, and it survived pretty well. Even the little aerial survived. I'm not sure whether it will survive till the end, but we will find out, I guess. So let's pop that there. Take our frames out, all our extra little bits that we may or may not need. There's a little bit there trying to escape. And of course we do have our Tamiya crew members. And for those of you who haven't already heard, I'm going to be putting these on the Type 45. I'm going to be spraying them black, so they are like little silhouettes, in the same way that all of the current sort of British Legion tributes for Remembrance Sunday, for Poppy Day, to basically represent all of the crew members that and soldiers, other servicemen that lost their lives in the Falklands conflict. So I think that's quite a fitting tribute, given that the crew complement of this can accommodate all of those 285. I think it's 255 actually. I think this can accommodate 285. Please do correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But there we go. Now, of course, if you have questions or comments while I am doing this, please do put QQQ or CCC question or comment. I really need to. I'm going to laser cut a little thing, I think, with engraving on it, so that's a reminder to everybody. But please do put that in capital letters so that I can actually pick up on it rather than not. What I am going to do eventually, I didn't have time to do it at the moment, the cable from this camera is actually resting on the tripod that my webcam is, and it goes to the computer. I'm going to cable tie it to the pole it's on, pole aluminium extrusion, you know, and then it won't wobble. It doesn't wobble much. In fact, most of that, I think, is my... Yeah, it wobbles a little bit, but not a huge amount. But that's all transmitted through the cable, rather than it being the camera itself. So, okay, let's get... these are not sprue cutters. These are actually photo etch bending pliers, so I won't be using those. That's the only thing in having two. I think these are both Ruhr tool as well. Oh no, one is display. but they're both blue handled. They both look very similar, and both have very different effects. So don't get those mixed up. I've got my cement. Okay. No, it's okay. I don't need to fill. Right, let's have a look. Where were we up to? So I need to do a little bit more ticking because the bridge, we did this, we did this, we did this, we did not do this. Now, do I want to do that now? I don't think I'm going to put any crew in the deck. In the, oh, I don't know. Or do I? I might leave this off. Or do I put it on and just leave the top off? That has the same sort of issue that some of the other pieces in this kit have. I don't know if you can see it here. You can see it quite plainly, actually. See how it wants to push back up. So this edge, I think it's mainly down in this corner, doesn't really want to sit flat. Now I think that is because this piece isn't beveled, and of course this is, and I think it just might need scraping at an angle. Let's try that. Let's just try taking this beveling that a little bit, because it's something that won't affect the part if it doesn't need it, but if it does need it, it should. Okay, well that is immediately an improvement, so that does seem to be. So this bridge piece ideally needs beveling to give you a tight fit. I'm just going in the corners where the knife can't really scrape. I'm just cutting in that little wedge. Oh, there we go. That's not resisting now. Before it was trying to push up, whereas now it's trying a little bit, but not anywhere near as much. Okay. This side is fine. That's not trying to resist. This side is a little bit still. Now, is some of it coming from these sides? And I think the answer is yes. So let's make sure these are the right level. I'm just using my scalpel to scrape these down. You can file them or you can sand them, of course. The scalpel for me is, or model knife if you prefer, but it's my kind of #1 tool. It's my go-to tool. It's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. Still resisting a little bit. Just trying to see where I think it's actually. This just needs scraping down a little bit at this side specifically. Now that again, it's better, but there's still something. Although I think if it's cemented, that might just go away. Just going to make sure this front edge is also flush. Make sure we've not got any little pieces poking out. And I've just glanced over to see World War II Scale Models Dave has just donated 5 Man's Model Moments memberships. Thank you very much, sir. Dave is a great supporter of the channel, and that's much appreciated. If you have received a gift membership, do head on over to YouTube to the members posts in the community, and there you will see a members post with the updated Discord link. If you go there, click on that link, it will take you to the private members Discord, and that's where we chat about all sorts of stuff, where I share like early things, people share their works, we've got a group build going on, all that kind of good stuff. And also this week, so tomorrow, I'm starting a new set of videos just for members, which will go out, and they're just going to be builds like this, but that I wouldn't normally put out, that I'm not typically doing videos on. So it'd just be raw, unfiltered footage of me making various bits and bobs, such a little bit of a look behind the curtain. The first one is going to be me building the Trumpeter Hotchkiss 35 French tank. So that you'll see that pop up on your feeds if you remember tomorrow around about 8 o'clock, and I'll probably do Thursdays and Tuesdays, maybe the odd Sunday of those. So I'll just basically pop those up on the channel just for members, and then you can see that, and then obviously you'll see the finished tank, or rather the completed tank, when I do my French colours video, but members will also be able to see that being built. Do let me know, members, what you think of that, if you think that's interesting. If not, I'll stop doing them, but I thought, as I'm making these things anyway, if I just record them, much in the way that I'm streaming tonight, with a bit of my commentary, you'll get to see kind of a little bit of that, as I say, behind the curtain, behind the scenes. Okay. I'm going to leave that for the time being, and we'll move on. So we'll miss out steps 32 and 33 for the time being. I'll move on to 34, because these are the VLS arrays. Let's just put that over with said piece. 4E. It should be fairly easy to find because they're just big flat pieces. Although there they are. They're both exactly the same, so we don't need to be careful about which is which. There are quite a lot of these quite intrusive injection points on these molds, which means that you have to be careful, or just be aware of where they are to cut things out, because sometimes you just can't get access to a part. Like I was struggling underneath there because this big lug was stopping me. So a couple of other things. So at the moment I have a reservation at a hotel in Telford. However, I may not be able to go for a couple of reasons. One is financial and one is medical. Nothing drastic, but just something that might stop me walking around a model show for 2.5 days. So I shall let you know as it happens what the status is, but at the moment it's a bit of a question mark. So the VLS pieces go on very easily. They're nicely indexed. That's all good. So let's do what I wasn't doing last time and tick that one off. Right, now we get to clad the VLS. Let's see, 22D. These should all be fairly easy, right? We've also got these pieces, 9E and 5E. 22D, because of course this is D, this is E, even though they're all part of basically the same thing. Which also means, what was that, 22, so 1 must be, oh, well, you would have thought it was really obvious and accessible, but I don't know if it's just me, but I can't see it. There. 3, 2. Oh, 1. I think that's one thing that airfix has vastly improved is the on-frame referencing. I hate instruction or frames that have, you know, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, 5, 7, 8, you know, it goes all over. ICM frames are very good actually for just being like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you know, very ordered, so you can find where something is on the frame without having to, you know, do some sort of quiz mastery. Let's get all of this cladding off. Let's also get 28D as well while we're here. In fact, when I'm actually filming a build, what I tend to do is for each of these sections I'll clip the parts off and then I'll actually sort of put them out of normal camera shot, but I'll have them in little groups according to the section, so I know I can then just, you know, get each of them and I'll have them all arrayed, which is fine provided you get through them. If you don't, it's a pain because then you've got a load of pieces, so you have to sort of plan ahead that you've got enough time and everything for that. This piece is actually fractured on the sprue, so I'm just going to repair that. Uh, 2E is this little piece here. It's quite tiny. Come on. There we go. Normally I would wait, but I think I'm going to put that on now before I lose it. Doesn't seem to really have much in the way of positive indexing. In fact, it's difficult to determine which way round it goes. T'other way, I think. Like so. Ugh. Yeah, that's not a particularly obvious fit there. It does look like those two little pieces actually locate here in the hull, so we should just be mindful of that when we put that on. This is not particularly easy. Okay, I've also put it in upside down, that's why. Trying to get the locating pins, and these lugs are here. Now it should be a little easier. It should be. It's not, but it should be. I think that lug needs trimming. There we go. And then those two little ones go in there. Okay, that is a real pain. That's not in. There, now it's in. Okay, I'm going to glue that now because that was a bit of an arse, as I think you could probably see. Anyway, it's on now. Right, let's clean these pieces up. Dear. So I noticed straight away there's some ejection pin marks which are pushed into the plastic but have also forced it up in other areas, so they do need trimming. It's kind of a common theme in this kit that a lot of these panels will try and push out for any reason, so they do need to be trimmed so they fit. Let's just give it a go. See, that one actually isn't trying to push its way out. It fell, but you can see it's kind of just, make sure we're focused. We are, it's just not particularly easy to see. So that's a good thing. Let's slap some cement and get that in, seeing that it's not causing us any issues. Here we go. I know it's saying to do these pieces first, but I really can't imagine it's going to be. It hasn't been an issue doing it out of sequence in any of the others. I doubt it's going to be here. That actually fits reasonably. It kind of does want to push away a little bit. So let's do our usual slight internal trim of the hole, just at the front, to try and stop it having that spring-loaded effect. And there we go. It does make a difference, as you can see, pretty much immediately. Ooh, no, don't want to take off that much. I mean, there's quite an overhang at the front of these pieces, so I don't think, if you trim off a little bit too much, it will get covered. Yeah, that's much better. That's actually one of the best fitting pieces, or some of the best fitting pieces we've seen in this kit so far. Let's see how the rear goes. Oh, that's good straight away. Which then only leaves us with this last side piece. Let's make sure that's nicely trimmed where those injection gates are. And again, that fits very nicely, so, which is good because these pieces are sort of front and center, so if we'd had to do a lot of work on these, it would have been more problematic than some of the other stuff. But that actually quite nice, and this is kind of the heart of the destroyer's firepower. Of course, most modern cruisers, destroyers, frigates, their power lies in the missiles that they carry rather than in their naval weaponry, naval gunnery at least. Oh, Julian, email from airfix. There's a 148 scale Spitfire 9E coming out next week. Guessing that's not a secret as they've emailed all their customers. Okay. I can only imagine the groans, the collective groans on many, you know, when they see airfix is making another Spitfire. But hey, I mean, one of the things we are able to do, it's me, and we are going to have a look at scale mates. Oops. Come on, why aren't you? Come on, you silly thing. My keyboard is somehow there. Apologies for that. My keyboard being very silly. Why is that at 175%? Very large. Right. As the F14D, the Tomcat. So let's have a little look. Airfix. Come on, keyboard. What are you doing? Spitfire. Thank you. We shall dispense with keyboard. We want kits. We want static model kits. We want physical. We want 1/48, and we want airfix. There we go. Super Spitfire Mark 9E. Well, I think this was as announced. Yes, it is. So it was announced at the start of the year. This is a new tool with this. I don't think they are both new tools. I think ScaleMates have got this wrong. I think basically this and this are the same kit with different fuselages, you know, and the other pieces, because they're both Mark 9s effectively. This is a TR9, obviously the trainer version, but the other pieces of this. So I think this is the one that they already announced at the beginning of the year. So I don't think this is anything new. I think it is as we expected, and yes, people who are excited about Spitfires will be excited about it, no doubt. I mean, 48th, you know, Mark 9. There's quite a lot of competition there, I think. 48 space, Edward, I think, probably being one. Well, the E designation was, so basically the way to look at Spitfires is they had a mark, so a Mark 1, for instance. The letter afterwards designates the type of wing it had. So A wing, B wing, C wing, D wing, E wing. That's what those are. So the wing was gradually changed and improved, and if you have, there's also LF. And I think the other one is HF, which is either the clipped wing or the extended wing. So it all means stuff, you know. It's not just a designation for no rationale. Anyway, we got 3 sections done then. Look at this. We've done, was that 4 sections now? Because we did that one. Oh no, we did. Yeah, we've done 4 sections. And now we get to, because this is a little bit flexy, we get to strengthen the underside now with all of these various pieces here. There are 4 of them in all. These pieces are a little bit wonky, for want of a better word. That's a moulding issue as well. This isn't how they've been in the kit, I don't think. Although this one does show stress here, but it doesn't here. It does on this side. Maybe it is. I don't know. Wow, I cut that one off really well. Main thing with these pieces is to make sure they are trimmed on the joining edges to give yourself a fighting chance to start with. And with this one for sure, make sure it's the right way around, I think. This is pretty rough. Let me just hold that up and see. One of the things I can do now that I couldn't do previously is I can hold this up and then I can autofocus straight away. So see the edges of this here especially are really quite rough. Not ideal. And then we can focus back here, and then we don't have all of the wavering autofocus. So let's start with the center. So we have nice locating tab that goes in there. And that actually looks like it fits reasonably well. That's a good start. I like it when things are easy. Let's whack that in. I mean, this airfix plastic, it is slightly soft. It's a little bit softer, I think, than is ideal. But it does take adhesive extremely well. That trumpeter Hotchkiss that I'm working on at the moment, not so much. So this piece is the one at the front. This piece is the one at the back, and this piece is this one here. Okay. This piece I like. That's really nice and solid. The fitment of these is let's call it less so. That's garbage. That fit. Let's see what we can do to improve that. Let's make sure these are nice and clean, because we do have quite prominent seams on these actually. Let's try and make them so that they are actually pointing the right way. That might also help. You don't have to be, you don't have to worry really if there's little bits of excess there. No one's going to see this. Yeah, that's, again, it's kind of vague. I'm going to try and create little pools of extra thin in here, just so we've got plenty of cement, and hopefully that might melt down anything that is preventing them seating. Squeeze them into position, and then we can add more extra thin. Just to make sure that that's solidly bonded all the way across. Okay, and then we have this one, which looks like it's going to be equally nightmarish. Yeah, and it's mainly due to the distortion of this piece. So let's see if we can force it into submission. So it kind of looks right, and then really make sure these are cleaned up. John Alec, you will be pleased to know that Maria has cooked a nice stew for my consumption after this stream. It's getting to that sort of weather here. There we go, that's a lot better. Let's create a little extra thin pools. So Steve, there are a couple of things in terms of cutting towards yourself with a scalpel, or any other hobby blade for that matter. So one is the amount of force you are using. One is the amount of distance you're using. So let's just get a random part here. Let's just cut that off there. Okay. So, for instance, if you've got a piece like this, which has part of a sprue there, you know, if you locate your thumb on the other side, you're completely safe, right? There's nothing that's going to happen there. Let's cut this one off. If you don't have that, I always try to rest my thumb on one part, and then what I'm trying to do is shave, right? So I'm not putting a lot of force, and I'm not putting a lot of movement in. So if it does slip, you know, if I'm doing this and it does slip, it doesn't really have anywhere to go, right? If you're doing this, it's a little bit, you know, more because you're further away. But one of the reasons I don't do this is I have much less control. Even if I'm balancing it here, I don't have as much control, and I hate that. Whereas this limits the amount of movement and where it can go, right? The blade can only go that much. Here, I could, like, if I get it caught and then go through, I could, like, whoom. And if my fingers here, I've cut myself more times cutting away than I have to. Now, it's a personal thing. The other thing is, this is not sharp, right? I wouldn't be doing that with a fresh scalpel blade. This is as dull as... This has been used for scraping and all sorts. If I tried to cut myself with this, I could, but it wouldn't be a very clean cut. So, you know, there are ways to protect yourself. And again, it's one of those things that comes with experience. I'm very, very used to using a scalpel. I've used a scalpel for, you know, 45 years. So, you know, I kind of know what I'm doing with it. Would I recommend somebody else does that with a scalpel? No, not really. Now, we've just got the last one. These last pieces, which is arguably the worst fitting of all of them. What's going on with this one? Well, we haven't trimmed it. That's one of the things. So yeah, I mean, everything is, it's a bit like personalized medicine, right? Most medicines don't work for most people. That is one of the interesting facts of pharmaceuticals in our population. But we do it because they, like aspirin. Aspirin doesn't work for everybody, right? Some people metabolize it too quickly. Some people don't have, you know, there are all these differences in metabolism and your receptors, all this kind of stuff. But if it works for 40% of people, then that's enough to get a good groundswell of opinion, right? And then paracetamol, if that works for 40% of people, and or 60% of people, or whatever, and ibuprofen works for 40%, you've got a Venn diagram, right? So you have 40% of people that it works with aspirin, 40% with ibuprofen, 40% with paracetamol. Some will work with two, and some people will be able to take any, you know. That's completely normal. And I think modelling is much like that, you know. I cannot get on with my Harder & Steenbeck airbrush. I really dislike it. It's not a bad airbrush, it's just not for me. You know, some people absolutely swear by H&S, but I don't. you know, it's one of the reasons I don't stock airbrushes in the shop, because they're expensive and very personal. So there we go. We've got all of our, what do you call them, hull supports, I suppose. There you go. Starting to look a bit ship-like now. And a big, we can tick off 38 and 39. Now 40, we have to make a choice here. Do we have these up or down? These doors. So what is the alternative to just putting them in? Just not putting them in? Yes, it is. What do we reckon? Can I do polls from StreamYard? Let me... no, I can't do it there. Show your support. Engage with your audience. I can start a poll. Here we go. Look at this. Now, this is if my keyboard decides to actually work. Look how filthy that looks on camera. Wow. It actually is filthy. Good God, no wonder it's not working. This I dug this out from a different computer, so apologies. I need to get that cleaned. Should I close the side doors or leave them open? See, this is the great thing about having a channel, is I can leave these decisions to other people. I don't have to make these decisions anymore. There we go. We have a poll going, people. Oh, I've left the options are yes or no. That wasn't very well thought out, was it? So I can't remember how it was worded now. What was the wording on the poll? Should I close the side doors? Ah, okay. So I did do it as a yes, no. Yes, I should close the side doors. Excellent. So that means I don't have to worry about putting any of that stuff inside. Thank you, chat. Much appreciated. Now, 48 is the starboard. 47 is the port. There we go. There's the starboard. Oh, and they are handed as well, so you can tell once they're cut. So I don't need to be too careful about where they end up. Oh, it's coming back now. 56 on yes. Well, I've cut them waiting, right? Okay, I shan't make the decision just yet. Although I can do other things before I get there. Don't worry. We can leave the poll going a little longer, and we can do some of these ancillary pieces. Like in 44 is the front of the ship, the bow, which presumably has some sort of sonar thing in it. I don't know. I don't know what a sonar emitter on a modern destroyer looks like. I presume it's in this front bulge. If people who know better can certainly correct me if it's not. I know that sometimes your expectations are confounded in this. I had a friend who used to go up to like the Outer Hebrides to service medical instruments, and it was just like a little like 4-seater or so aircraft that used to go in. And you know, you walk out to it, and the guy, and you're taking your bags, and he said he got to it, and the guy was just like, "Oh, let's have your bags then." And he expected him to, you know, wasn't sure where he's going to put him. But the guy went over to the aircraft, opened up the front like the, like, you know, like a Volkswagen boot on the front of the car, opened the front of the aircraft and just put these bags in. He said he expected there to be like a radar or something, and no, there's nothing. It's just empty space. Which I thought was quite amusing. He didn't, but okay, let's. Oh, 52% now. It's neck and neck. Still erring on the side of my laziness to close the doors. Some evil people want me to open them up and work more. So obviously this is yeah, that's a pretty obvious seam. I don't think there is that seam on the actual ship. So we're going to need to address that. I mean, there's a lot to address here in terms of seams, but that is another one we need to think about. Right, we can do some of this underside stuff whilst we are waiting for the poll. Oh, 57, it's going. Oh, 54. Oh, we're up and down. Someone vote to get it to 50-50 to stop all the voting. I tell you what, if it gets to like 52 either way, I will do one open and one closed. Because unlike the referendum, which shouldn't have been a binding decision with Brexit, I'm not an idiot. So, you know, I can apply some common sense rather than just saying, oh, slightly more people wanted this, therefore everybody has to do that. Which was not very clever. All right, so we have these strakes down the hull, but I'm going to wait to do those. We can, however, tick off 2 more sections. 44 and 45, now done. Of course, do I... Okay, there's another poll. Oh, look at that. You're typical. I knew you guys would. 52%, yes. Yeah, I invited that, didn't I, really? Okay, so I shall do one open. Now, port or starboard. I feel always that it should be starboard that should be open. I don't know why. So we'll actually... We don't have as good a fit on the starboard side. So I'm going to do it on the port. I'm going to do the port side open because I don't want to attract attention to like where I'm going to have to do more filling. These are rather nice actually, the way these fit, because they've got really positive locating pins, and then they've got these 2 tabs to stop them pushing in too far or out too far. That's a really nice little piece. I really like that. It's one of those small things on a kit that most people won't even think about, but I appreciate the design of that piece. It's always nice to see when a designer has thought about things and has created a piece like that. It doesn't always happen. Yeah, that's a really nice fit. I like that a lot. And then on the other side, we shall leave that open. which does mean we need to address the pieces in there before we can close it up, of course. Oh well. How much access do I have? Actually, it's pretty good. Okay, I think I can close it up and still get access to what I need to. It might make my life a little bit harder, but not catastrophically so. So we won't let that stop us. Okay, I'm ending that poll. What I will do though is, and this will be a, oh, now I don't seem to be able to, where can I, here we go. This will be an all or nothing poll because I can't do both. Should I make this full hull or waterline? There we go. Let's just put that to one side for a second then. What other pieces do I need to do here? There are quite a few other pieces that I can get on with before having to address these pieces. And that means that those can dry a little, which is always good. So let's get on with these radars. We need piece 34D, which isn't anywhere there. 34D. That's 6, which looks similar. $38, 36, 37, 34. Uh, 34 and 41. I think that is 41, yes. And 23. That should be obvious. There we go. Then we have 26 and 27, which again, really obvious because they're the big dome. And 52E, which, have we cut that off already? I don't know why I couldn't see that. It's quite an obvious piece, very distinctively shaped. This octagonal piece with this these aerial things coming out. Well, full hull. It looks like you guys are intent on me making the whole thing. Fair enough. Okay, 57, no, sorry, 67 and 68. And then 33 and 32D, I see. That is 32. 32 goes with 68. We'll make that one first and put it in place before we do the other one. I'm not sure there's any difference. But just to be on the safe side, let's do our small pieces first. because once we put this on, we can put it on the main hull, and then of course we can cut the pieces for the second one out. Those don't fit that well. There's a noticeable... Oh my god, they don't fit well at all. I should have test fit those. Okay. I think those pins are actually pushing them off position, so more cutting towards my thumb. So I'm going to get rid of those. So sometimes, especially in older kits, these little alignment pins actually are completely counterproductive, as they will fix the part in the wrong position and don't allow you to adjust it at all. You see now, without the pins, we managed to eliminate that ridge. I mean, obviously we'll still tidy up this seam when it's dry, but that is the difference between a little scrape and a light sand and some major work. So that was number 57, which goes on the port side. And again, because it's only got a little bit of work, then I can glue it in place and I can clean it up in situ rather than having to leave it separate because I need to do, you know, major rework to the part. Although the actual part fitment, assembly fitment I should say, on there is not the best. Let's see. Okay. Right, I've been neglecting the chat. I apologise. Let me go back and have a little look. Comment, it depends, there's always one, it's usually milled, depends on how much you can see inside. Okay, yes, closed doors, no, because open doors I think, but it's confusing. That's Alex, yes, I know. As it was, we went one of each, so do what I want, it's my kit, yeah, but this is a shared experience, so look like people being nice and going with a full hull, otherwise you have to do a water base for the water line. Well, I don't mind doing that. Waterline equals Schrodinger's hull. Alright, I think I'm up to speed with the chat, but as always guys, if I've missed anything, please do let me know. Well, that's an interesting part. Just, oh, I see, you can, well, ostensibly you could have it moving, I suppose. I can't get the damn thing out now. See, I was test fitting it and I managed to get it stuck. Almost stuck. There we go. There are some quite ugly eject pin marks though on the back there that do need a little scraping just to obscure. Scam Model Apprentice. Alex, I really agreed with your talk yesterday. I work in retail and started putting it out for Christmas in the second week of. We started putting out for Christmas in the second week of September. It was a top-down decision, and our store had no say so. Yeah, I don't know. It's. I just think it detracts from. I mean, I said everything in the talk yesterday, but you know what makes things special. I think actually, Cadbury's, although Cadbury's is not really Cadbury's anymore, but they have still kept the tradition of cream eggs only being available at Easter. You can't get cream eggs now, for instance. I think that's a good thing. Scarcity is a... Okay, why are diamonds precious? Yes, they're glittery and hard, but part of it as well is that, they're rare, like platinum. Platinum looks very much like silver, but it's much more expensive because it's much rarer. There is a value in rarity, and the opposite, things being available all the time, are devalued, and I think that's true of everything, really. We actually have on Earth a much rarer supply of fresh water compared to just water. Most of the water on Earth is salt water, but that fresh water is very precious. Now, of course, humans have tipped that balance, but I think it's only something like 8% of the water on Earth is fresh water. Okay. I've got to go back now. I have done this one. We need to cut the parts out for the second one. Let's quickly do that. We'll test fit this time to see if it's as terrible a fit as the last one before we glue it this time. See, I am learning slowly. Okay, I'm just going to say my recommendation is you just cut these pins off. Those pins are not doing you any favours. At least on my example, they actually completely prevent it fitting as it should. So yeah, it's like consistency. Consistency is only a virtue if you're not screwing up all the time. Yeah, much better fit without the alignment pins, or the misalignment pins as they shall now be known. I'm a great fan of how these fit overall, actually. They are somewhat challenging. Just make sure we're in focus there. Yep. Okay, good. Now, that's that one done. I think the other thing as well with Christmas now is I think gifts mean less. And that sounds a bit... I'm not trying to be Scrooge. I just mean that, for example, in my old job, right, I was very well paid. And basically, when I wanted something, I just bought it. Yep. I didn't wait for an event. I didn't wait for my birthday or for Christmas or anything. And that meant come Christmas, I mean, there was no value in the presents, you know. Which in some ways is liberating because, you know, people can be creative. It's not like they're just buying you socks. But in other ways, it's just like, well... yeah, but you could have just got it yourself, you know. And I think that's the problem with affluence in general. And I'm not espousing austerity. I just think that it does change the balance of things about how things are viewed and valued. Which I think is something that we perhaps need to think about as a society. Although that's a bit deep for a Wednesday evening. If any of you are naval fans, and I guess that you might be if you're watching a stream on building a Type 45 destroyer, I'd really recommend watching a channel called the Grim Reapers. They are doing a whole bunch of simulation mock-ups and battles and stuff. They use a couple of programs. One is I think it's called War on the Sea, and another one is called Sea Power. War on the Sea is a very accurate kind of pre-missile combat simulator, so more World War One, World War Two. So gunfire. It's very good for, you know, accurately laid gunfire kind of simulation. And they've been doing a competition of battleships, matching those up, and doing a tournament, which is quite fun. And okay, you're not supposed to glue this, but it doesn't really matter. I'm not gluing it, but if any glue gets on there, it's just how it'll be. And then I think that's War on the Sea, and then Sea Power is really sort of 1950s to almost present day. It's more Cold War, really, is what it's designed for. There are some add-on assets that are modern, but mostly it's Cold War. That is a terrible fit as well. I think what I'm going to do here is cut off all of these little pieces. In fact, I'm just going to cut this whole thing off because I think that was stopping this go together. And yes, I could cut this bit out at the bottom, but I don't care that this thing isn't going to be able to go round. I'm not going to play with this in the bath or anything. That would be difficult, as we don't have a bath in this house. Not anymore. We got rid of it. We only have a shower. Okay, that actually fits together now. And then I'm just going to glue the thing on its mount here. Yeah, there we go. That was much easier than faffing about with that that other piece. Also, it's going to be much easier to clean up when it's all cemented in, because it does need a little bit of work there as well on this seam. And then this will go on top of that, like so. Yeah, which also really doesn't want to go on. Let's make sure we give it the best possible chance. Make sure all of these. Unfortunately, it's an elongated octagon, so that makes it a real pain in the ass to clean up. 8 faces. Yeah, the fit is, you know, I would have expected better really from a 2012 kit. This is very 1990s in some of its fitment style, I would say. Put it on the inside as well, as we've got the. Let's try turning it around. See if that fits better. Not really. It's the same both ways. So yeah, it will require some cleanup there. These will probably get knocked off and replaced, I imagine. We shall see. And then this goes in, oh, back here. Okay. That conversely fits really well. Typical. Do they have their radars normally pointed forwards, or? Not sure. Let's have a quick look, shall we? Yes, they look like they normally. I hate these where you, oh my god. Reject all. There we go. It's funny, isn't it? Even when you look at them this size, so that is, if I put this next to the screen, you can't see what I'm doing, but obviously if I'm putting it next to this, you can see that texturing on the, you know, here on the hull as the sun strikes it, for instance. You know, that's not represented at all on any kits I know of, and yet kind of is visible at this scale. You know, which I think, you know, we can represent a little bit with paint. Oh, and an advert for a luxury silk slip dress. There we go. If you wanted to get your girlfriend into something more comfortable. So full hull 77%. So, okay, fair enough, guys. Full hull it is. Right, almost forgot. Almost forgot. There we go. Let's tick all of these off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 9 sections we got done then. Oh, blistering pace. Right, there are a whole bunch of little gribbly bits there, but I don't really want to get into that just yet. So let's go back and address hull things. So we've done... Oh, actually, we can put this now. We have done this as well. So we can now go to the big one. Right, we need to do a little bit of prep here because I obviously sprayed the inside of that because I wanted to give myself a base to work off. And I only need to worry about port side. That's okay. Didn't know that at the time. We'll need to scrape off primer from here as well. There we go. I think we're good with that. Right. Let's do starboard first thing as we got that closed up. It's quite a clever way that this is organised. You know, the actual design and build of this is quite good. Interestingly, the cladding here, let me just show you that. The cladding here is actually really quite thin. I wish they'd made these pieces, this just cladding as thin as that, rather than how thick they went on it. Because I think that has caused some issues. But overall, that fit is not bad. We'll have a look at the front when we get to it. However, gluing it all on is going to be a task. I think I'm going to start by putting a massive amount of fact. That's pledge, that's not going to help us. Let me just see if I've got a larger. Indeed I do. Let me just make sure this is actually... Yes it is. Word to the wise guys, don't go inhaling big lungfuls of cement. Not recommended. So these big areas I want to get kind of saturated in cement. So I want it to actually penetrate the plastic, soften it slightly, and be slightly on the surface there to react with the other plastic. Normally, for something like this, I would use a different type of cement. So I would use, not a different type, but a different consistency of cement. I would usually use like a Contactor Precision or a Humbrol type precision cement. something with a bit more body, something which is going to give a little bit more contact time. But just to show you that it's entirely possible with liquid cement. So I've used those big areas and put a lot of cement on there to get that into the plastic, to get it softened, to get a good contact area. This is where we come out with pieces like this, which it hasn't properly gone where it should on the kit, that I kind of want to avoid drawing attention to, because I'm going to have to address that somehow. This side it's fine, so hence having it open here. It'll be this side to model, right? This side to display. And now I've got those pieces on, I can come in underneath, and then you can use the liquid cement kind of as it was intended to then bond these other areas. And I can work my way backwards and forwards from that main area. This is also really handy, and you kind of saw it when I was doing the ICM boxed Revell Leopard 2 in 35th scale that came with their crew. It's really good for if you've got a slightly warped piece, especially like a hull side or top or deck or whatever, because you're gradually pulling it in each time, so you're dealing with less at each point. If you can chunk it down to manageable bits like I'm doing here, it makes it much easier than trying to just do the whole thing at once. The other thing to remember is liquid cement, Tamiya, the cement I make, which is chemically identical, is pure solvent. So if you get too much on, if you just leave it, it will just evaporate. And once you've got a coat of primer on your model, you shouldn't see anything at all. So yeah, there was definitely some warping in the parts from what they were intended to be. I can understand why they didn't get you to put this piece on before, because it would be easy to knock pieces off. Hopefully we won't be doing that, but you can never tell. Just pulling that apart a little bit, look. You have some pretty bigs. I mean, look at that. That's huge. Okay, that's more or less in place. I don't want to mess with this at the top yet, because that's just a matter of like pulling it in and bonding it. It's in the right place. It just needs pulling in with cement. But I want to put this second piece on because that will help, because obviously we'll join it and it will form one piece. So that'll help in our overall structure. So let's get that. And is that a little bit of flash, or is those meant to be there? Well, I can press those afterwards. So here I'm actually going to just try and quickly get a coat of cement on both sides, just to help that weld join. This might all seem a bit slapdash, but that's absolutely fine. It's kind of one of those things that you can, once you know what the rules are, then you know what rules you can break, right? So this, although it looks quite sloppy, won't affect anything other than the strength of the bond. And the strength of the bond is what we really want to make sure is good. Okay, let's get that piece on. It does fit well though, these side pieces. The actual hull cladding here does fit nicely, which is a good thing. Obviously, kind of goes without saying, but now, fighting us a little bit. You've got to make sure that you've got these hull locating pieces in the right place. Now this, if you remember, was our side that was a little bit warped, which ironically fits better than the unwarped piece. Right, let's get some cement on this side. Try and bring that warp in. So hopefully getting it correct at the deck level here, and then once we've got the bottom of the hull on, that should help pull in everything to the right shape. Let's just get the back, this rear alignment piece, structural piece, whatever it is. It does need these. Don't be tempted to try and skip them, because I think it will make your life much harder should you do that. Yeah, I might need to clamp that piece. Let's get the front. Come on. There we go. This is going to put up a little bit of a fight, I can feel it. Problem with trying to clamp a vessel which is, you know, has some stealth designed into it, or any sea vessel really, is there isn't really much in the way of a flat 90-degree angle anywhere. Yeah, this is being a bit of a pig at the front here. These locating pins aren't helping really either, which is a common theme, it seems. Oh my lord, come on. Hi Matt, good to see you. Thanks for joining. You're just watching me struggling with the front of the daring class. Do we think it's going to pop out as soon as I move my fingers? Oh, that's behaving itself. Right, let's see if we can quickly get some cement in here and get that piece to conform as well. So when you've got something which is, you know, a little bit warped here, a little bit out of alignment, going piecemeal like this, you know, gluing piece by piece, just means you're fighting less tension on each piece. So you can progressively go down. That little bit at the back as well just needs pulling in a bit. Just felt I put my finger in a bunch of glue there, so we're going to have some sanding to do there, but as we've got sanding to do everywhere anyway, it's just adding to it. This is trying to come apart, like, despite the fact we glued both sides. That might be because obviously we're doing all this work down here and it's gradually pulling that off. Come on, evaporate. Bond. If you're going to have a go at a ship, Matt, I would recommend Airfix's Mary Rose starter set. That is a very pleasant little build. It's a lovely little ship. It builds up really nicely. I wouldn't necessarily recommend the Type 45 as a ship. I mean, I like the way it looks. I think the Type 45 is a cool looking ship. It's obviously cutting edge of what we have. And the Airfix kit is not bad, but I would also say it's not good. It's okay, you know. It certainly has its moments, and you know, there's quite a lot of work to do post build here. In fact, I'm not going to put that radar array in there because that's going to fit quite nicely. That fits well. I'm very pleased about that. But all of this work we need to do around this cladding here is... and of course we do need to build up where that piece was broken. We put a piece of plastic art there to kind of make that Ooh, that's ugly. And yeah, some of these locating pins just don't work. Other than that, it's great. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it, Matt? The Mary Rose. It's a nice little. I mean, that was cutting edge military technology for its time. And Mary Rose did a lot of work as a carrack, I believe she was. And we've still got a bit of a wobble here in this part where it's, you know, it was a bit warped, whereas this side is, we've got a nice sweeping arc there as it should be, whereas this is hopefully when we put the lower hull in, we can, oh, that's going to be a bitch, isn't it? Okay. You know, I asked you guys whether this should be waterline or full hull. I may be making an executive decision. That looks like it might be a challenge. Still, I will try to give you guys what you asked for and and tackle that. But there we go, look, it's a boat. Or a ship, I should say. Big boat. Right. Stand up. Okay, well, we can at least put a big tick on number 41. We've done that. And we need piece 10B. Which, ooh, no, that's also not good. That is not a good fit. Why is that so proud of the rear? I mean, it can't be in the wrong place because the hull fits, right? It's like they made this piece slightly too long. That's... I mean, it fits, but there's a massive gap there. Oh well, I suppose we've got to do a fair bit of filling anyway, so hey ho. I don't really want to like try trimming it because the bottom is curved. You know, the bottom of the hull here is curved, and it does seem to fit. It seems like the deck is almost too short at the back. I don't know, Craig or John, did you find a problem with the back here? I mean, it fits very nicely on both pieces of the hull, but the deck doesn't reach it. More so on the port side. I mean, it looks good if you look at it from the side, but if you look at it from the top, it's just awful. That is the worst seam so far on the kit. That's worse than this one. I mean, these aren't great either, but but there we go, it's done. I'll just move this somewhere else. Okay, well, not quite done. But. All right. So, interesting. I mean, good progress, I feel. We got a fair bit done tonight. I mean, a lot of that is because, you know, of the setup work before, but I mean, VLS is now all done. We've got one of the radars on, got the whole sides on, some little gribbly bits. Are these CWIS? Does anybody know? They look like they would be CWIS stations with their little radars. You know, the structure inside, got that, revealing our issue with this slightly warped piece. It's being held at all of the right places though, so I think once that's dried, you know, we can try putting the lower hull, you know, on and pulling that into shape. The starboard, you know, I made that decision about the starboard door being closed and the port one being open. I'm blaming you guys because you told me to do one open and one shut. But the fit on this side, let's just get that. That's pretty good. It's the port side where we got that wavy bit. You see, can you see that big shadow there where you got the wave? It's we'll address that. I don't think it'll be too problematic once this is dried, once this is all holding that in position. We've only got that little bit to worry about. So again, using the liquid cement and pulling that in, we should be able to get that into shape quite nicely. The bow has now actually come together. Now it's all, you know, set together. It's not trying to pull itself apart again. So overall, it's taking shape. It certainly looks like a Type 45, or the bones of a Type 45. Looks like some of the Type 45s that have been in port over the past few years. Let's not dwell too much on our lost proud naval tradition. So exactly, David, after 6 months sea trials, it will be back in for 2 years to solve the problems. I'm kind of doing a microcosm of that, aren't I, really? So anywho, yeah, and I think, Simon, definitely sticky tape will probably be involved in the next part. But I do think next time we will probably manage to get most of this. Well, I use the caveat, if this goes okay, we're on the home stretch then for all of the gribbly bits to go on, which I think I'm going to leave. And actually what we'll do, I'll say using the royal we, what I'll do is address all of these seams. So next time will be problems. Great. So that's all for tonight. Thank you guys so much for joining and watching along as I make various mistakes and expose various mistakes as well on this kit. Hopefully it's instructive if you've got one of these kits, if you're building along, and you can avoid some of these pitfalls before making them, like those seaweed stations, those domes. Just cut those locating pins off. They aren't helping you. And then we'll see how we address all of these seams and stuff. I'll probably be using sprue glue thin to do that, and you can see how I use it and how we can address that in hopefully as least mess as possible. We'll see. Anyway, thanks everybody. I'm going to go have some nice sausage stew now, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. No fancy outro because we are not on StreamYard. This is through OBS, and I haven't learned how to do that yet. But thanks everybody. As I say, private members video will be out tomorrow night. There may be a general release video out on Thursday. May have to wait till Saturday. And that's going to be on laser cutting. So look out for that one if you're interested in that particular technology and sort of what I've learnt and managed to do and things I've used it for and where I see its uses. So okay guys, have a great one. Catch you on the next one. Cheers now.